There's so much to talk about this morning. To help us sort it all out is attorney Felix Vega, who has been watching this case unfold from the very start, as we all have. And we have to be careful here because, as it stands, no one has been charged with anything. But of course, given all the facts of the case, there's so much concern and so many questions and outrage. Several agencies are looking into this, and it can be kind of confusing to understand what they're all doing. Explain that. Right,
KRISTIN, and that's the big thing right now is that the Sanford Police Department, we saw the chief step down earlier this week. We also saw the state attorney on the case was asked by Attorney General Pam Bondi and also Governor Rick Scott to also decide whether or not he was going to stay on the case. They then reassigned the case to the Jacksonville State Attorney Angela Corey. What that will do is bring in her investigators, her team of prosecutors to give a fresh look to the case. We also have the FBI and the Department of Justice, who are overseeing the investigation, launched their own investigation. But we want to be careful to keep it really in the state and local law enforcement's hands, because what happens after this investigation's over with, if it's just the Department of Justice involved, then the people lose faith totally in the system that's in place in Sanford. And moving forward, after the Trayvon+Martin case, people are still going to be charged with crimes. We still need victims to come forward, witnesses to come forward, and the whole system would collapse in under itself. So they need to bring in new management and bring in new people, and that's what they've done so far, and now they're moving forward, hopefully, to the grand jury investigation on April 10th.
And of course, what's at the center of all of this is Florida's controversial Stand Your Ground law. The entire country is talking about it.
Yes, they are.
Now, Zimmerman's lawyer himself has now said that he doesn't think that this situation even applies, but they're not ruling out self-defense. So what's the difference?
Well, they backed off the stand your ground argument. What self-defense originally, I mean, I brought the jury instructions. It's actually a 4-page document that you're given during a trial for the jury to decide. What stand your ground did, you see the graphic we have right there, it changed the self-defense law to include any place that you have the lawful right to be, not just in your house or your car, but you also have to reasonably believe that there's a threat to you, and it's an imminent threat. And it can also be used before trial through a motion hearing or during the trial if you don't succeed at that motion hearing. And that was the other thing that was disturbing to a lot of prosecutors and law enforcement, because it gave defendants who were accused of a crime that they wanted to say they wanted to use stand your ground, because it would go before a judge if you file a motion. It's a lower standard, and if the case is dismissed, you're completely immune from prosecution at any point in the future. And also, there's civil liability that no longer attaches as well. So the victim's family could not sue you if they believe that in a wrongful death suit. So there were a lot of things that this opened up, and we've seen the numbers have increased, the number of people that have claimed stand your ground, the number of shooting deaths have been involved, and prosecutors and law enforcement opposed this law from the get-go in 2005. And it takes a case like Trayvon's case to really bring this to the forefront again and decide, like the governor and Attorney General Bondi are doing, form a task force, let's look at this law and see what needs to change.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if anything does change. And of course, we have to sort of put ourselves in the spotlight a little bit here, the media,
right.
Because there's been so much coverage, so much attention, and the protests on top of that. So how exactly do you think prosecutors will be able to fight the court of public opinion? It kind of reminds you of the Casey Anthony case in terms of just the high-profile nature of the case at this point, and it's still early on.
Right.
So, you know, if it does come to charges and that, I mean, how will they deal with all that?
It's going to be a difficult, a delicate balance, because we in the media, we have a duty to find these stories, tell these stories, and get these stories on the air and draw attention to it. Social media was huge in this case in drawing attention and bringing the local media involved, and also the national media. For putting my prosecutor hat back on for a second, now we have to be able to separate out the race issues and not really focus on the media attention so much as moving forward with the case. And that's what prosecutors are really going to try to do in this case. Like I said, they brought in an outside prosecutor from another circuit. That helps things. But you look at the media coverage, we have cases that we prosecute from one end of Hillsborough County to the other, black, white, Hispanic, and that's what we need to get the focus back on. These rallies are important. The media attention is important because the people of Sanford, they want answers, and they deserve answers as to what happened with that investigation. Now, to separate that out and go forward, that's where the media needs to also, we have to be very careful to focus on the facts, focus on the evidence, focus on the procedure that's going to be in place to either charge Mr. Zimmerman or go forward with the case in general.
Right, right. And we also this morning need to address the new Black Panther Party.
Absolutely.
And they are offering literally a bounty for his, basically, citizen's arrest, $10,000. And the new Black Panther Party says they're rounding up a group of men to find him. I mean, it seems kind of, are they breaking any laws?
Well,
by
we want to be careful when we call it. They've called it the Black Panther Party yesterday. I watched the reports on CNN last night that they are saying that it's a citizen's arrest. It's the same as a citizen's arrest. They have to be very careful if they're going to go out there and anyone from the Black Panther Party or anyone in the community is going to go try and find Mr. Zimmerman. It's almost tantamount to a kidnapping if you take him against his will. And then what do you do with him? Do they hold him for ransom? Do they bring him to the police? The police have not charged him. I know our producer Mark and I were talking about this before the show. Can they put him in protective custody? Well, there's really nowhere to put Mr. Zimmerman in the law enforcement community. And so we don't want people to overreact and take this matter into their own hands. We talked about this on a panel that was on last Friday on 94.1 with Orlando Davis. Let law enforcement handle this, even if you're not really happy with what's going on. The people of Sanford aren't. They still need to let law enforcement. I know the protesters have been very peaceful about it and have focused on that. Mark Morial, who's the head of the National Urban League, last night came out against the Black Panthers saying this does nothing more than cause a distraction, takes away from Trayvon's case, takes away from the investigation, and that's what people need to focus on at this point.
Okay, and you know our legal system can be slow, but we just have to let it play its course.
Exactly, and as we want everyone to be patient and let these things, work themselves out. The protesters are good. The media attention is good. It keeps a spotlight on the case and also on bringing this message to the people about Trayvon and other issues that may come from this case and how we deal with those racial issues in the future.
Okay, thank you so much, Attorney
Pleasure
Felix
to be here,
Vega,
Kristen. Thank you.
Being with us. We enjoy your insight. Well, we have much more about Trayvon Martin's death, about him himself.